the main thing that I wanted to talk about and explore with both of you, and that our conference is sort of sitting right in the middle of, is this sort of new pattern. Although new, I mean, this has been a couple years at this point, although I still think that we're kind of still coming to grips with what's happening and understanding. And if anything, I feel like it's accelerated, not slowed down, of people having new, I don't know, spiritual growth, spiritual experiences, becoming Christian or becoming some other sort of something. And a lot of this is increasingly mediated through the internet, YouTube, podcasts, things along those lines. But that can often mean that it's happening kind of in relative isolation with you and your earbuds in the gym or while you're doing dishes, and it might not be a shared experience with the people in your life who might have completely different content coming through their earbuds, or who might just not be podcast people. It turns out there are such people. And that Christianity is going through all sorts of kind of growing pains and shifts because of this. Denominations are increasingly aware of each other. All of our histories and theological beliefs, for better and for worse, are out there on the internet and being blasted, critiqued, and promoted and defended by apologists from every different angle and critics from every different angle. And it's this sort of weird, new, exciting landscape that a lot of us find ourselves in. And so our conference is sort of, I feel like, trying to, like I maybe sort of said, herd cats in this sort of chaotic, decentralized environment, but also give an in-person place for people going through this to connect with each other, see some of the people that they like to listen to in person, connect with other people who like listening to the same things. It can be really amazing. I've been to these sort of conferences before. You meet someone new, and if your top 4 or 5 favorite podcasts are the same, then all of a sudden you can just, go 1,000 miles an hour with a conversation and get really deep and personal in a way that you sometimes find it hard to do with your neighbors. And so I think that that's sort of the purpose of this conference. And then that's what the conference theme is about, the fellowship of the Spirit. What is fellowship? What is spirit? What is a spirit? What does this have to do with the Spirit? And all of those sorts of questions. I'll pass it over to you.
Human communication is designed for in-person communication, right? Even before we had the technology of writing, we would talk to the people in front of us, and we could read their body language, and they could read our body language, and there was a very specific context. And then as writing takes over, there's more distance between the parties that are communicating with each other, but there's still some sort of bounded context. This is something that's being said in a newspaper, this is something that's being said in a theatre, this is being said in a personal letter to one person, this is being proclaimed through a megaphone. And all those forms of communication are subtly different, and they have different purposes, and they intend to have different effects on us. And the internet just comes and slams a giant, I got an image of just a massive breeze block on all of that social infrastructure. That chaos has some really effects that I find very interesting and life-giving, but it's also meant that the social infrastructures and the communities by which we used to discern what is true and false, what is life-giving and what is unlife-giving, what is humanizing and what is unhumanizing, in my language, what's going to make us more like Jesus and what isn't, have gone. And because I increasingly agree with John Vervaeke that meaning is a communal concept that actually cannot have meaning, I think you probably can't even have truth, in your own head, which is why I hate Descartes. That is a problem. To remain a reality-based community, I think, the ground of reality is God. But to remain a reality-based community, we have to keep having these structures that hold us together in collective discernment. And that's what I think is the challenge of this moment.
Yeah.
The lack of a shared story, or at least even a shared experience.
Book about all the studies around this, our heart rate sync up, and then there's a dopamine release. It makes us feel good when we feel things with other people. We feel less alone because we're interconnected. And healthy spiritual practice, when churches are working, they are forms of collective emotional processing. We go and we feel sad, and we lament, and then we go and we celebrate, and we find our steadiness again, and then we can go back out into the world and be steady people But we don't have that now, and I'm wondering if what's happening in the collective outrage is we want to feel anything with anyone, and if anger's all there is, we will do it. But that helps no one self-regulate, and therefore no one come to a kind of more healthy emotional and spiritual life.
Yeah, and I think that really is part of the draw for conferences like the ones that we're hosting. I feel like we are trampling down social media with social media, right? We are fighting YouTube with YouTube, fighting the internet with the internet.
Judo guys.
Right. We're using the powers of darkness against itself. We will not be isolated. We will not be turned into consumers. We will have our interpersonal community, and we will make the content that for ourselves and each other that we would like to listen to, and we know the person behind the channel and they know us, and we leave a comment, and the comment section is not just some angry screed. It's hopefully they recognize and remember our name, something more like a healthy social environment where you feel accountable and you want to be friendly, make good impressions, critique lightly and gently as low as possible and stuff like that. But what exactly unites it is then a bigger and unclear question. And what exactly is the uniting? Like, it does feel like, this little corner and other parts of the internet have like a spirit to them in the way that Paul will talk about school spirit. And that's sort of what I mean. Like, when we show up in person, it feels like we can go deeper, faster, even if I've never met you or if I've just seen your screen name underneath the video before. And because we have all of the shared context and shared sort of spirit, whereas I might not share that spirit with other people. But what's sort of generating that spirit? What is that spirit? How is it managed? How is it kept healthy? How is it kept oriented towards the Holy Spirit? What exactly is the Holy Spirit? We sort of say, I mean, thinking of the Holy Spirit as the thing that sort of collectively unites Christendom, I think is a fair thing to say. But even then, Christendom, that's a complicated word to use, right? Maybe not Christianity, those who follow Jesus.
We're trying to model for each other how we can talk about differences.
You are welcome here, and I am glad you are here. And I'm going to show you how we're going to be here, right? Like, when people come to dinner at our community house, lots of people come, all different perspectives, all different beliefs, and we start with silence to give thanks for this food. And then we say, if you would like to come pray with us in the chapel afterwards, you're so welcome. They're very strong norms. And we say, you don't have to participate in any of that if you like, and we're delighted that you're here. And I think that combination of, I think of it as deep roots and wide branches. Like, real steadiness in who we are, non-defensive, non-defended, and a deliberate, I'm glad you're here. Like, I see you, I notice that you're here, and I'm really glad you're here. And also this is what I'm thinking about right now. And I think that's probably part of what's going on in this little corner, is you actually have some quite strong norms, and then people feel safe because you have strong norms. But then you're also saying, yeah, you're a Unitarian and you don't know what you think, and you're a Muslim and you're just seeking, and let's listen to each other because maybe we have things to learn from each other.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that we are happy to be a welcoming community for non-Christians. Like, John Vervaeke is one of our headline speakers, and that's very much on purpose and not an accident or just like a token sort of thing, right? And okay, but can we say the Lord's Prayer at these events?
You really think Jesus is the Son of God?
Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation that should happen in the church.
Yeah.
But it should be a real conversation.
There will be a chance to participate in estuary groups at the event. I look forward to seeing you in August.